Hello. Today we are going to be talking about the languages, and I'm going to share with you how I was able to learn Spanish in less than 2 years on my own, mostly on YouTube, and what techniques I used and so on. Also, I am going to compare a little bit learning Spanish or like learning language with learning to code, because I was able to learn Spanish in maybe 1.5 years to maybe B2 or C1, and I have been learning to code for 6 years, and I am still not on the level to be professional. So I am just going to also compare like learning code with learning language and so on. So I started to learn Spanish because I had COVID and I decided that I am going to do something useful. So I decided that I am going to learn some kind of language. I was thinking about like Russian, German or Spanish, and I decided that I am going to go with German because I am from Europe, and there is Austria, there is Germany, and it seemed for me to be like most useful. So I downloaded some app on the phone, and in 2 days I was chatting with my friend, and he basically told me that in his opinion learning German, it's like life is too short to learn German and then I should learn Spanish. And I was like, probably he is right. So I decided that I am not going to go with German and I am going to go with Spanish. Back then I had like no idea how should I learn. Now, if I would learn some other language like Italian or German, I know exactly what I would do because of learning Spanish, but back then I had no idea. I was able to speak English in a way that I am speaking right now, but I don't have any, like real experience of learning English because I was learning English my whole life. Little bit on the high school, little bit in the university. I went to the London, I went to the United States and so on. I was watching YouTube, I was watching tutorials or anything. So learning English for me was something that during 15 or 20 years I got little bit in here, little bit in there and so on. So even though I could speak English, I didn't have any real experience of learning language from zero. And back then I was thinking that in order to have a level B2, what I need to do is I need to learn vocabulary and I need to learn maybe 2000 words, and then I am going to be fluent in Spanish. I was so wrong because learning vocabulary is, in my opinion, useless. Like, of course, it's not useless because we need vocabulary, but to be focused on vocabulary, it's something which I think it's not helpful at all. But what I didn't know what to do, so I downloaded some some application. It wasn't Duolingo because back then I didn't know about Duolingo, and it was just, some random application from Google Play, and it was about the vocabulary. So it was like mother, father, sister, uncle, cat, dog, and so on. And I was learning the vocabulary because I didn't know anything else, and yeah. After maybe 1 month, I didn't know anything because learning just vocabulary is very, very hard to remember. And after 1 month, I went to this website, Udemy, or Udemy, I don't know, but I think it's pronounced Udemy. And you have these websites like Skillshare, Udemy, and so on. And they have these very, very cheap courses. And those courses, those are just pre-made videos. So it's not like you need to communicate with someone or something like that, but just, 10 hours or 20 hours or 5 hours of videos. So I bought one course on Udemy. It was called El Método, and it was a really great course because it wasn't teaching me a vocabulary, but it was teaching me how to make little sentences. And if I would right now start to learn any other language like German, Italian, or anything, maybe if you would start with Russian or Chinese, that's something different. But if I would start with some kind of like, normal language with normal alphabet and so on, I would go with this kind of videos. So the course was teaching me how to create a little sentences like, I want to eat. What do you want to eat? I want to eat a pizza. I want to go out. Why do you want to go out? Because I am bored. Or, something like this. And for me, this was something really amazing. Because after 1 month of something like this, I was able to create sentences. I was unable to create like long sentences but I was able to say a sentence which is going to contain 10 words, for example. Like, I want to go out with you and I want to eat pizza or something like that. And there are studies, I do not know exactly about this, but it makes sense that when you are learning some kind of words in a sentences, your brain is going to be able to remember this way better than when you are just learning a vocabulary like uncle, dog, cat, elephant, and so on. So the course was called El Método. The other one that I would recommend, maybe there is a guy who has courses like 3 minutes Spanish, 3 minutes German, 3 minutes Italian, and so on. So those courses are structured in a similar way, but yeah. So after 1 month, I was able to create some kind of sentences, and I was like, okay, I am going to continue with these courses because the guy, he had like one course had maybe 5 hours of videos, and he had maybe 8 of them, like beginner 2, beginner 3, and so on. So I had like many of these videos. And I started to use also Duolingo. And if you would ask me if Duolingo is useful or useless to learning language, I would say it depends. Learning with Duolingo can be completely useless, and at the same time, learning with Duolingo can be very useful. So when is learning with Duolingo useless and when is learning with Duolingo useful? And I want to emphasize, this is just my opinion and my experience, so you may have this a little bit different. But if the Duolingo would be your main source of learning language, then it's not useless, but it's not the best way, because they do not explain why things are in this way and so on. But as soon as Duolingo is not your main thing, but it's your secondary thing. So for me, the main thing was these courses, these videos, and I was learning how to create sentences. And Duolingo was something which was secondary. So I was adding to my course with vocabulary from Duolingo. Then it was really useful because I was able to make the sentences from the course with more vocabulary from Duolingo. So yeah. Then I decided that I am going to buy a book. I went and bought a random book, How to Learn Spanish. And I was like, okay, I already know some basics. So should I skip the first 2 chapters in the book? And I was like, no, I am not going to skip anything because of 2 reasons. One of the reasons is that imagine that I wouldn't be starting with the videos. I wouldn't be starting with the Duolingo, and I would start from zero with the book. And from the beginning, I wouldn't know anything, and I would be really demotivated. But once I had some kind of basics from the course on Udemy and from the Duolingo, I was I started to learn from the book, and I felt good that, okay, I understand this, this is simple, this is easy, and so on. So this helped me to start with the book in a simple way, because I felt good that I can understand it. And also I was like, there is no way for me, no reason for me to skip some pages in the book, because I do not know things exactly. So if the course is going to explain me something, then Duolingo is going to explain me something, then the book is going to explain me something, I'm like, okay, I am going to understand this even better and even better. So I didn't mind that I am starting the book from nothing. So yeah, basically I had Duolingo, I have a book, I have the course, and I was like, okay, I have three things, and I didn't get bored learning Spanish, because one day I was learning with the course. One day I went with my bicycle to the nature, and for 3 hours I was just clicking Duolingo. Then I was outside and I was learning with the book. Then other day I was learning with the course. So it wasn't boring for me, because every day I was learning with something else, and that way it was still exciting for me, and so on. So after I had kind of a little bit of the knowledge, what I started to do is I started to watch videos on YouTube. And you may ask whether it's good to watch videos in English on YouTube, or whether watch videos in Spanish. I will tell you what I did. I started to watch videos in English, because I didn't have a level enough to understand Spanish. So I was watching videos in English, and right now I had Duolingo, I had course, I had book, and I had YouTube in English talking about Spanish grammar and so on. And after maybe few weeks or a few months, I started to watch my first videos on YouTube in Spanish. And there is so many people that are learning Spanish. So there is many people on YouTube who are teaching Spanish. So if you are going to learn some language, which is not that popular, you may not find that many videos. But there are videos on YouTube where people talk in Spanish, but in a very simple way. They are speaking slowly, they are using a simple vocabulary, and so on. And I was able to understand these videos, and I felt really good. But if I would back then watch some real videos, like some kind of YouTuber talking about his life in Spanish, I wouldn't understand anything, because they speak fast, they use vocabulary which is not that easy, and so on. But I was watching videos which were made for the students, and people were talking in Spanish, but in very simple Spanish, and I was able to understand it, and it was really great. And I really loved this kind of videos, because I had two in one. On one hand, someone were explaining to me some kind of Spanish grammar or something, and at the same time I was listening Spanish, so I was getting it in my head. And I was watching maybe 10 or 15 people, and there would be some topic, and I would watch one topic 10 times. I would watch one person, then the second person, then the other person, and so on. And I was like, if I'm going to watch some video like this, and I'm not going to understand the grammar, I don't mind because I am going to understand it later. I am going to understand it in some other video, or I am going to maybe understand it when I am going to be like with my book on that topic or so on. So I was like, if I don't understand something about like the grammar, that's fine. And if I don't understand something like the Spanish, that's fine. So that was like a game changer for me when I started to watch videos in Spanish which were made for the students. Now, maybe for a few months I was watching this kind of videos, and there are some levels of these videos because some people, they speak really slow so you can understand everything, and some people, they speak like fast, but it's still easier than the real Spanish. Okay, so one additional thing that I did, which was also game changer for me, is I found a girl, like a teacher online, and I was having classes with her, and it was really great for me. She was very smart, but I was learning on my own, and when I didn't understand something, I was asking her. So we would have like a class which would be like for 2 hours, and I would prepare for the class 50 questions, and I would be one by one going through my questions, and she would be helping me with this and so on. So I was probably the only student that she had who was like preparing the classes. So usually it's like the teacher is preparing the class for the student, but in my case, I was the one who was preparing the classes. I was like, okay, today we are going to be learning this topic. I prepared these questions. I was learning this for the whole week. I do not understand this. I do not understand that. And yeah. So that was really great for me, because every time that I didn't understand something, she explained it to me, and that was great. So I am the person who, if I would be in some kind of group of people, like some kind of courses, it wouldn't be helpful for me at all. So what I needed to have one-on-one with someone. One-on-one, and I am asking, you are answering, we are speaking in Spanish, and she was like from my country, so if I really didn't understand something, she explained me that in our language. So yeah, I had something like this, and after some time, I started to watch videos like real videos, some YouTubers talking about the life. I was watching some videos about the spirituality and so on. But I started to watch videos which were like not videos for students, but which were videos in Spanish for like real people. And at the beginning, I was unable to understand them. I remember the first video that I was watching. I watched the video maybe 10 times, and I was translating it and so on. And after 10 times, I was able to understand maybe 80, maybe 90%. And slowly, I started to watch videos like this, which were no longer about like the grammar, but which were this kind of Spanish. And I started to watch things that I liked. I started to watch South Park in Spanish. I started to watch 2.5 Men in Spanish, and so on. It can be hard to find this. You have some short clips on YouTube with like 3 minutes, and you have like 7 parts and so on. But yeah. And then I started to watch a telenovela or a novela. I don't know how to call it, but you have like these romantic things from Colombia, from Mexico, and so on. Mexico. And it had like 200 episodes of 1 hour, and I started to watch it, and I was like, okay, I am like, I was at the night watching maybe 4 episodes, 4 hours, and it didn't feel like I am learning. It felt like I am just enjoying my time watching something which is really interesting for me, and at the same time I am learning. One thing that I didn't have, which unfortunately I didn't have, was I didn't have that many possibilities to speak with someone, because I was not living in Spain, or I was not living in Latin America, and I am not 18 anymore, so I do not go like out during the Friday, like drink alcohol and so on. So I was not meeting many Spanish people, so I didn't have many opportunities to speak Spanish. But what I was doing, and this was also a game changer for me, was I was speaking loud in my room, just practicing. Like right now I am making video and I am speaking for 20 minutes. I would be doing the same thing with the Spanish, except I wouldn't be recording a video and I wouldn't be standing in front of the camera, but I would be in the same way as I am speaking right now, speaking in Spanish, and I would be like, okay, today I had a great day, I was doing this, I was doing that, and I was practicing speaking Spanish just by speaking in my room. And I was doing this so often that when I later on had opportunity to speak with someone, like when I met some person who was like a native, I didn't have a fear of speaking because I was practicing speaking so much that I was able to speak. Also, little things that I was doing was when I was learning with the book, and there was like these articles, usually when you have English book or Spanish book or something, you have some kind of articles, and I was learning these articles by memory. I was memorizing them. I was learning them by memory. I started to read Harry Potter in Spanish, and I learned from memory almost 2 chapters. So imagine, like I was able to, out of memory, for 40 minutes, 40 or 50 minutes, tell you almost two chapters of Harry Potter. And I was memorizing it line by line, and that way I learned so many new vocabulary, and I was able to remember this because I had it like one piece of a story and so on. So yeah. Also, one little thing, many people maybe right now do not watch the video anymore, but if some of you are still in here, one thing which is like the most essential, I think, is having this why. Like having a reason why you are learning Spanish. And for me, it was like, I am learning Spanish because maybe I am going to get a job and I am going to use Spanish, or I can go to the vacation and I am going to understand it, or maybe one day I am going to make a YouTube and it's going to be in Spanish, or I am going to be understand the songs. So I have like, it doesn't matter how I am going to use the Spanish, I am going to use it in some way, so I had like a big why. If I am going to compare this right now with like learning to code, for me learning to code, like learning like HTML, CSS, JavaScript and so on, is only useful when you are going to get a job. If I am going to learn JavaScript and HTML and CSS, and I am never going to find a job in that field, the learning was almost useless. It wasn't useless really because you can learn how to learn and so on, but when you learn to code, you want to get a job and you want to get money out of the job, because if not, it was useless in some way. But Spanish, if I am going to learn Spanish and I am not going to get a job in Spanish, it wasn't useless. I can still understand the songs. I can still speak with someone. I can still go to the vacation. I can still do this. I can still do that. So for me, when I was learning Spanish, I didn't have a single day when I didn't have a motivation. And I was also kind of addicted to learning. so yeah. And yeah. And also, if I would compare learning Spanish with learning to code, you need to be at home, you need to be like behind your computer, and you need to be like doing stuff. But learning Spanish, you can do it in so many different ways. You can be at home, you can be outside, you can be with Duolingo, you can be with book, you can be watching some series, you can be chatting with the friends, you can have some courses, you can have this, you can have that. But learning to code, you cannot be outside and code. Like you could, but there is like you need to sit behind the computer or behind the laptop and so on. So yeah. So when I was learning to code, and I am still learning, I was losing my motivation many times. Then I quit learning to code. Then 1 year later I started again. Then I quit. Right now I am learning like really I am not going to quit and so on. But I was losing the motivation. But with the Spanish, it was like I didn't lose motivation at all. So yeah. So yeah, basically, this was my way how I was learning how I learned Spanish. I hope that it was useful in some way to someone. One thing that I didn't do when I was learning Spanish is I wasn't watching videos like this, how to learn Spanish. But when I wanted to start this YouTube channel, I was watching videos how to start a YouTube channel. So sometimes it's good to watch videos how to start with someone. Sometimes it's good to don't watch these videos and just do it. So what I would recommend you maybe to do is like don't watch videos like this, maybe some of them, but most important is like just go ahead and learn. So yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to share my story, my way. I was learning little bit from here, little bit from there, and so on. Mostly I learned from YouTube. I was enjoying the process, and yeah. So you can write me down in the comments your own experiences with learning languages, if you had like a similar experience or not, or you can write me anything. But yeah. But for me, it was like I was like a child learning a language, like little here, little there, and so on. But yeah, I'm going to finish the video because I do not want this to be 2 hours. I just wanted to share this with you. I hope that it is going to be useful to someone, and I hope that you will be able in maybe 1 year or 2 years tell that this video helped you to, learn language. Like, not like it didn't help you to learn language, but it gave you some guide how you can maybe properly learn a language. But yeah, we are all different. So someone may be more introverted, extroverted. But yeah, I am going to finish this. Thank you very much. Have an amazing day and goodbye.